I lost everything, then made my first million. The honest story of the comeback. Before I made my first $1,000,000, I lost everything I had. And I mean everything. So if you came here for the part where someone gets lucky, where the universe reaches down and hands them a check, close this video now. Because I don't have that story. What I have is the other one. The one nobody posts about. The one that happens in the dark, long before the success anyone sees in the light. Let me take you back. There was a night I sat at my kitchen table, staring at numbers that didn't add up. The kind of math that makes your chest tight. More going out than coming in. Bills I couldn't cover. A future I couldn't see. And that cold, quiet drop in your stomach when you realize you are not behind by a little, you are behind by a lot. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you're sitting in it right now, watching this, wondering if it's ever going to change. So let me tell you exactly what happened next. Not the highlight reel. The real thing. I want to start with the lie I believed for years. Because that lie cost me more than any bad investment ever did. The lie was this. I believed money was something that happened to me. The economy. No mas. The bad luck. The wrong timing. I thought my whole financial life was a kind of weather, and all I could do was survive it. Hope for sun. Brace for storms. And as long as I believed that, I was right. Because the day you decide you're a victim of money, you hand the steering wheel of your entire life to someone else. And then you wonder why you never go where you want to go. Everything started to turn the day I stopped blaming the storm. I sat down, and for the first time in my life, I looked at the numbers I had been avoiding for years. Where the money came from. Where it disappeared. Every leak. Every habit. Every dollar that slipped through my fingers while I wasn't paying attention. And it was ugly. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But somewhere in that ugliness was the first real dollar of my first million. Because here is something nobody tells you. You cannot fix what you refuse to look at. You cannot build anything on a foundation you're too afraid to examine. That night, I stopped lying to myself. And that is where the comeback actually began. The second thing I had to face was harder. Because it wasn't about money at all. It was about my ego. For years, without even realizing it, I had been spending money to look like a person I wasn't. To seem successful. To be respected. To prove something to people who, honestly, were not even thinking about me. And every single dollar I spent trying to look rich was a dollar that could never go to work making me rich. So I made a decision that felt like dying a little. I stopped performing. The upgrades I didn't need. The dinners I couldn't afford. The image I was paying so much to protect. I let it go. While the people around me kept renting the lifestyle, I started quietly buying something they couldn't see. I started buying my freedom. One boring, invisible, unglamorous choice at a time. And let me be honest with you, because this is the part the success stories always skip. It was lonely. There were nights I felt left behind. Weekends I sat out while everyone else went out. Moments I watched people enjoy the very things I was choosing to give up, and a voice in my head asked me, "Are you crazy? Is any of this going to work? Or are you just suffering for nothing?" That voice. That doubt. I need you to hear this. That doubt is the toll. Everyone who crosses this bridge pays it. The ones who turn back are weaker. They just didn't know that the doubt was supposed to be there. They thought feeling uncertain meant they were on the wrong road. When really, it's the sign that you're finally on the right one. So I kept paying the toll. And I kept walking. Now here is where it started to move. Because cutting back will keep you afloat, but it will never make you wealthy. You can only cut so far. There is a floor, but there is no ceiling on what you can earn. So I became obsessed with one single question. How do I make money in a way that doesn't depend on me trading every hour of my life for it? Because that was the trap I had been in. Time for money. One paycheck. One source. One point of failure. One decision by one person who could erase my entire income overnight. I was done living like that. So I did something simple, but it changed everything. I learned a skill. A real one. Something people would actually pay for. Not a hobby, a skill with value attached to it. And then I used that skill to build something on the side. Small. Quiet. Unimpressive. Something that could earn even a little when I wasn't in the room. The first month, it made almost nothing. Embarrassing money. Money so small I was almost ashamed to count it. But that embarrassing money was the most important money I have ever made in my life. Because it was proof. Proof that I could create value out of thin air. Proof that I was not trapped. Proof that I had been wrong about myself this whole time. And once you prove that to yourself, even once, you can never unknow it. That little number whispered something my fear had been screaming over for years. It whispered, "You can do this." So I did it again. And again. And I got a little better each time. Then came the fourth thing. And this is the part that feels like magic, but is really just patience wearing a disguise. I took what I earned and what I saved, and instead of spending it the moment it arrived, I put it to work. Invested. Consistently. Automatically. Whether I felt like it or not. Not in one heroic, desperate gamble. In 1,000 small, repeated, boring deposits that absolutely no one clapped for. And for a long, long time, nothing seemed to happen. The number crawled. It tested me. There were entire years where it felt pointless, where I wondered if the discipline was worth it, where quitting and just spending it all would have felt so much better in the moment. But I held on, because I finally understood something. Wealth is not a lottery ticket. It is not a single moment. It is a season. It is a seed you plant in soil that looks like nothing, watered by choices no one will ever see you make. And then one day, slowly and then suddenly, it started to grow on its own. Money making money. The thing I had built quietly beginning to carry me, instead of me carrying it. That is the moment the math turns into momentum. The moment the snowball finally stops needing your hands. The losses I had taken started to look less like the end of my story and more like the beginning of it. And then the number came. My first million. I want to tell you the day was magic. That there were fireworks. A crowd. A moment that felt like the movies. But the truth, it felt like an ordinary day. Quiet. Almost anticlimactic. Because the win was never the moment. The win had already happened 1,000 times in every small, disciplined choice that got me there. The reward had been paid out slowly, all along in who I had to become to earn it. The million was never even the point. I know that now. The million was just the scoreboard. What I was really building was options. The freedom to say no. The ability to wake up without that cold drop in my stomach. The quiet, unshakable power of knowing I would be okay, no matter who said yes or no to me. I had lost everything. And in losing it, I was forced to learn the one thing that built everything back. And more. So if you are sitting there right now, behind, afraid, convinced it is too late for you, that you earned too little, that you started too far back, that you've already lost too much, let me tell you what I wish someone had told me at that kitchen table. You don't need $1 million to start. You need a decision. The million is just 1,000 of those decisions, stacked one on top of the other. The losses are not the end of your story. Sometimes, they are the only reason the story finally begins. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It is not coming. There is no signal, no permission, no green light. There is only today, and what you choose to do with the distance between who you are and who you could become. I made my first million the same way you will make yours. Not in one leap. In 1,000 small steps that nobody saw. Taken on the days I least felt like taking them. Built on top of the days I had absolutely nothing. So take the first step. Tonight, move $1 somewhere out of reach. Cancel one thing that's draining you. Write down one skill that could make you worth more. One small act that says, I am done being a victim of money. Because a year from now, you will wish you had started today. And 10 years from now, strong, free, and finally standing at the top of a mountain you built with your own 2 hands, you will be so grateful that you did.